Hello student of class 12. Once again we are here with a new video, and in this video we are going to start semiconductor second video. And before starting I just want to show you one video on the energy band gap. We had discussed this thing in the previous video also, but I think that if you see one animation, I think the thing will be more clear. So let us start the video, and after video we will solve some questions in the ASM. Now let us start the video.
Introduction of Energy Band Theory. Understanding the band theory. In chemical physics, we know that matter keeps converting its state and gives rise to various different properties that we see around us. This story of matter is completely governed by the energies that keep stabilizing and destabilizing the matter and depends quite a lot on the surroundings. When atoms come together to form a compound, their atomic orbital energies mix together to form molecular orbital energies. The electronic band structure of a matter describes the range of energies that an electron within the matter may have and ranges of energy that it may not have. Now, let's take a dip into the band theory to understand it further. The electrons of a single isolated atom occupy atomic orbitals. Each orbital forms a discrete energy level. When multiple atoms join together to form into a molecule, their atomic orbitals combine to form molecular orbitals, each of which forms at a discrete energy level. As more atoms are brought together, the molecular orbitals extend larger and larger, and the energy levels of the molecule will become increasingly dense. Eventually, the collection of atoms form a giant molecule, or in other words, a solid. Types of energy bands. Let's take a look at various types of energy bands. The first one is valence band. It is the band of energy where all the valence electrons reside and are involved in the highest energy molecular orbital. And the second one is conduction band. It is a delocalized band of energy levels in a crystalline solid which is partly filled with electrons. These have some great mobility and are responsible for electrical conductivity. Fermi level energy. This level refers to the highest occupied molecular orbital at absolute zero. It is usually found at the center between the valence and conduction bands. The particles in that state have their own quantum states and generally do not interact with each other. When the temperature begins to rise above absolute zero, these particles will start moving upwards and the states below the Fermi level becomes unoccupied. It's pretty much the same thing which you might have inferred, but let me reiterate here for you. In metals, the Fermi energy gives us information about the velocities of the electrons which participate in the ordinary electrical conduction. The amount of energy which can be given to an electron in such conduction processes is in order of microelectron volts. Energy band gap. Take a look at the energy band gap. The band indicates whether the substance is a conductor, semiconductor, or an insulator. A very large band gap like this purely indicates that the substance is an insulator. It is because it takes a huge amount of energy for the electrons to jump from the valence band to the conduction band. Hence, there will be no conductivity. When there is no gap or a small band gap like this, then it's an indication that the substance is a conductor. Small band gap essentially allows for a constant conductivity. And lastly, when there is a small band gap like this as shown here, it just means that the conductivity in this case is somewhere between that of an insulator and a conductor. Hence, this kind of a substance is known as semiconductor. Recap. In this lesson, we learnt about band theory, types and importance of energy bands, Fermi level energy, band gap, and the relationship between the band gap and the properties of a conductor.
So I think that everyone had watched this video, and things are clear now, that what is energy band gap, what is forbidden gap, what is conduction band, what is valence band. So let us start the topic. I'm going to show you some picture on the basis of energy gap. How can we distinguish between insulator, semiconductor, and conductor? If you see in this figure, the energy and the energy gap is shown in the three diagram. The first, for insulator, if you see the valence band and the conduction band, there is a wide gap between the two bands. And if you see in the semiconductors, the band gap is very small. And if you see in the case of conductor, the conduction band and valence band, they are overlap each other. So the concept of energy band is particularly important in classifying the materials as conductors, semiconductors, and insulator. So semiconductors have a smaller forbidden band and require less energy to move an electron from the valence band to the conduction band. Therefore, for the certain amount of applied voltage, more current will flow in the semiconductor than in the insulator. Means insulator, if you provide amount of energy or amount of voltage, if increase, but there will be no flow of current. But in the case of semiconductor, after a certain applied voltage, it is possible that the current will flow. So this is the semiconductor which is in between the conductor and insulators. If you see from your NCERT, there is a difference given between the resistivity and conductivity of the semiconductors, insulators, and conductors. So that is very important part, and you have to go on that page, and also you have to make notes for that what is the resistivity and conductivity for the metals, semiconductors, and insulators. Now semiconducting element, they have the low electrical conductivity at room temperature, and electrical conductivity increases with temperature. Gap between valence and conduction band is intermediate in size in a semiconductor. If you had seen the figure also. Semiconducting element from the basis of the solid state electronic devices. Metalloids such as silicon or germanium are semiconducting elements whose electrical conductivity increases as the temperature increases. Means if you increase the temperature, the electrical conductivity may be increase of the semiconductor, but it is not advised that you can increase the temperature to make it conductor, because after a certain allowed temperature, they melt also. A striking property of these elements is that their conductivity increases markedly when they are doped with the smaller quantities of the other element. Means to make it a conductor, to make it to flow current, the one arrangement is there that we can add some impurity from outside, which is called doping, and due to doping we can make the semiconductors to use as a conductors. We will discuss this thing in this coming chapter about doping and dopant, and it was also in the part of chemistry in the class 11th also. So semiconducting material made from the materials that have 4 valence electron in their outer orbit, and germanium and silicon are the most common semiconducting element. They have 4 electron in their outermost shell, and silicon is preferred due to ability to withstand heat. A pure semiconductors material such as silicon or germanium has no special properties and will make a poor conductive material. So if you compare the property of conductors, insulators, and semiconductor, the conductivity, resistivity, and band structure or energy gap, if you see for all the semiconductors, conductor, insulator, you have to make a table and make it compare on the basis of electrical conductivity, resistivity, band structure, energy gap, and current carriers. Now, when the silicon is doped with phosphorus, it becomes N-type semiconductor in which electrical current is carried by negative charge electron. Means when that silicon is doped with impurity of phosphorus have 5 electrons in their outermost shell, and when it is doped with the silicon, extra electron is capable to make it conductor. So this is called, since electron is negative, it is released by the phosphorus, so we can say that due to negative it is called n-type semiconductor. Earlier it was the pure semiconductor, but when it is doped with the phosphorus, silicon is now become n-type of semiconductor. N means negative and negative means electron. Electron is donated by the phosphorus, so now the type of semiconductor is n-type semiconductor. And when the silicon is doped with boron, the boron has the 3 electron in the outermost shell, and when it doped with the silicon, one hole is there where no electron is there. The hole is considered as positive because the electron is leave from there. So when the electron moves from there, it means that is positive. So hole is there. There is a space which is termed as hole, and hole is considered as positive. Means the p-type semiconductor formed when the silicon or pure silicon is doped with the boron, or we can say trivalent. When the silicon or germanium is doped with the trivalent, it is made p-type semiconductor, and when the silicon or germanium is doped with the pentavalent, it is formed n-type semiconductor. And when you join the p-type semiconductor to n-type semiconductor, we are getting a junction which is called p-n junction, and it is of so many uses. We will also discuss this in this chapter. Important term is the rectifier. Rectifier is a device that allows the current to flow in one direction only. So we have two type of rectifier. One is half wave rectifier and the full wave rectifier. This also we are going to discuss in this chapter. So these are the few terms what I am discussing here. This is an introduction video for this semiconductor. So I am giving you the few terms. You have to go through this term from your NCERT also. You have to read the pages from first and second page of your NCERT book to know that what are these terms and how can you understand about these. So the type of semiconductors are two types. Semiconductors are mainly of two types, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic semiconductor means chemically very pure and possess poor conductivity. It has equal number of negative carrier, that is electron, and positive carrier, that is hole, and impurity do not affect its electrical behavior. Means intrinsic means is a pure semiconductor which is without conductivity. But when it is doped from the any other element, then it will become extrinsic. Intrinsic semiconductor, if you see that silicon has 4 outer shell electron, that is called valence electron, and if they are forming a lattice, if they are forming a crystal of silicon, so they are sharing the electron to each other. So this is the one pictorial, or we can say one picture for this extrinsic semiconductor, in which the silicon had make one crystal and they are sharing electron with each other. Now extrinsic semiconductor, improved intrinsic semiconductor with a small amount of impurities added by a process known as doping process, which alter the electrical property of the semiconductor and improves its conductivity. Means whenever the pure semiconductor is make impure by adding some impurities from outside, it is called doping process, and this doping process changes the behavior of semiconductor. Now it behave like a conductor, or we can say we can improve the electrical conductivity of this semiconductor. So introducing the impurities to the semiconductor material can control their conductivity, and the introducing of the impurity to the semiconductor is called doping process, and what we are adding is called dopant. So doping and dopant are the two new terms for you all, and I think that it is also discussed in the class 11, some part of the chemistry. Doping and dopant. Doping is the process of adding impurity, and dopant is the substance which is added to the pure semiconductor. Now adding impurity atom into the intrinsic semiconductor is make that extrinsic semiconductor. Means if we are adding something from outside to the intrinsic semiconductor, now it is termed as extrinsic semiconductor. Extrinsic means impure semiconductor and intrinsic means pure semiconductor. The process of adding a specific type of atom to a semiconductor to favorable alter the electrical characteristic is called doping, and there are two type of extrinsic semiconductor, N type and P type. We will discuss in the next video what is N type and what is P type, and we will also discuss about the energy band, energy gap also. This is the intro video for you all. You have to go through your NCERT for these terms what we had used in this video to understand properly, and then we are going to start again that what we had learned in this and continue the chapter with these terms. So my advice is that you go through your NCERT, compare the conductivity, resistivity and of this semiconductor, insulator and metals, and what are the examples of semiconductors. Semiconductors are of different type, how can we dope, what is doping, what is dopant, and what is intrinsic and what is extrinsic. These are the terms which is used in this video. It will help you to understand, and also you have to make notes of these terms because these are the very important and new terms for you all. So once again, if you have any problem, if you're not getting anything, you message me, you call me, or you can make a note and drop in the message, and when I will free and I will call to you. Till then, thank you.